Over 200,000 Americans have died from COVID so far, and many more thousands are projected to die from flu this year, unfortunately. You don't want your immune system to be compromised this year of all the times. Compromised immune system doesn't just put you more at risk for infections like COVID or flu. It has also been associated with diseases like allergies, autoimmune diseases, heart disease, mental health issues, even dementia. So you want your immune system to be healthy. Could your immune system be compromised right now? Let's take a short quiz together. For every yes, count 1 point. Did you sleep less than 5 hours last night? Or do you sleep less than 7 hours most nights? Do you have any extra fat around your middle? Do you feel stressed or depressed most days? Do you feel often lonely or isolated? Is your vitamin D level low or you don't know? Would you describe what you eat as standard American diet? You know, meatloaf and potatoes or bagel and cheese? Or is your blood sugar elevated? Count your points. 1 for each yes. And let's see our bonus questions for 5 points. Did you have anything that looked like this for breakfast? I sure hope not, because if your sugar goes up quickly after eating something, you are putting your immune system into a temporary coma. Your macrophages, the cells that are able to smell and detect infection and go after it to kill it, will be about 50% less efficient if they swim in too much sugar. So the only good response to this quiz would be 0. The more points you collected, the more your immune system could be compromised. I have a longer version of this quiz in your resources. You can look it up later, and hopefully it will just increase your awareness of where you might want to do some improvements. So to make it through this pandemic and any other future pandemics, it's not just enough to be wearing masks and use hand sanitizer. That's important. But a disease, a result of interaction between virus and our immune system, our health. Louis Pasteur, who is the father of germ theory, and who his entire life believed that germs are the cause of diseases, on his deathbed, he said, it's not about the microbe, it's about the terrain. The terrain is your immune system. The terrain is your health. And we know that, unfortunately, people who have pre-existing conditions, such as obesity or cardiovascular disease, high blood pressure, diabetes, that they are more likely to develop more severe symptoms if they get exposed to coronavirus. And unfortunately, they are also more likely to be hospitalized or even die. So what does the terrain look like in America? 60% of Americans have at least one chronic disease. 42% of Americans have more than one. And 12% of Americans have 5 or more chronic conditions. That's not a very good terrain for a virus to land on. Can we change it? Luckily, we can. You can change that. Our health is always a result of interaction between our genes, our DNA, our environment, and our lifestyle. You have the power to silence the genes that are undesirable with healthy lifestyle choices. But unfortunately, you could also unleash some bad genes with poor choices or toxic environment. This is called epigenetics, and it works pretty quickly. So what you had for breakfast this morning is already acting on your genes right now and either silencing them or unleashing them. I hope it wasn't the donut. Dr. Dean Ornish, a cardiologist, showed already many years ago that you can prevent and even reverse heart disease with healthy lifestyle. And more recently, he has demonstrated that you can silence over hundreds of genes that promote cancer with healthy lifestyle within 6 weeks and with a handful of supplements. That's quick. That's good news, right? We can change quickly. So what are we waiting for? Typically, we wait after the holidays or New Year's. Oh, wait a minute, there is Valentine's. Let's wait until my wedding anniversary. We tend to postpone healthy choices, but in a time like this, in the midst of pandemics, we really don't have time to procrastinate. It's 5 minutes to 12. The single biggest factor from your lifestyle affecting your health or creating disease is what you eat. I hope you don't eat the sad standard American diet, which is full of sugar, full of salt, full of fat, and low on nutrients, low on fiber. From the perspective of your immune system, you want to make sure that your diet has all the nutrients that your immune system needs. Vitamin C, vitamin A, vitamin E, to keep your mucous membranes healthy, so the virus cannot even enter into your body. You want to make sure you have enough zinc from seafood or seeds and nuts, because zinc reduces replication of viruses. You want to make sure you have healthy fats, like omega-3 fatty acids from fish or from nuts. And you want to make sure that your sugar doesn't spike after whatever you ate. Eat more vegetables, Mindy. You also want to make sure that whatever you eat is feeding your microbiome, the healthy bacteria in your intestines, because they have everything to do with your immune system. And they love fiber from plants, fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, grains, legumes, and they love color. They like polyphenols, which are the substances that give blueberry the blue color, and apples the red color, or turmeric, it's yellow, green tea, green. You want to have variety of colors on your plate, just not from M&Ms. So, our human microbiome. We have more bacteria, more viruses, more fungi, and more other microscopic organisms in our body than even our own human cells. We are really a hybrid of human cells and microbial cells. And there is more of them than of us. So who do you think runs the show? Microbes have evolved with us for millions of years. We are interdependent. We provide them warm house, free food delivery, and in return, they do a lot of good services for us, including protecting us from bad infectious diseases. You see the microbes in your body, they want to live in healthy neighborhood. They actually make their own antiviral compounds, their own antibiotics, antimicrobial and antifungal compounds. So if you have a healthy microbiome in your throat, you are even less likely to get flu or strep throat. If you have healthy microbiome in your lungs, you're less likely to get pneumonia. Healthy microbiome in a woman's vaginal canal makes her less likely to catch sexually transmitted disease, including HIV. So you want to make sure that you nurture a healthy microbiome in your body and on your body. It has everything to do with your immune system. And our immune system starts developing when we are already in our mother's womb. The microbes in our mom's body are sending signals to the baby through the placenta. And those signals are immediately beginning to teach the baby's immune system. And then when we are born, hopefully as nature intended, it's very messy, right? The baby goes through the vaginal canal and it swallows the microbiota from his or her mom. It gets in the baby's nose, ears, lungs, everywhere. And again, it provides signals for the baby's immune system to start developing. What's happening these days is that we see more and more women have C-sections. 1 out of 3 babies in America are born by C-section. 56% of babies in Brazil are born by C-section. That's not normal, and it's not the best choice for the baby. If somebody has to have a C-section, that's one thing, but oftentimes it's for the comfort of the mom, and that should never be the case. Because when a baby is born in a surgical suite where everything was sterilized, it doesn't get this passage of microbiome from their mom. The mom would have gotten it from her mom, and she wouldn't have gotten it from her mom. So the entire existence of human species, we were really passing on the microbes of our ancestors. And then breastfeeding is very crucial for our immune system. Breast milk does not just contain beneficial nutrients for the baby. It is equally important for the bacteria that are beginning to establish in the baby's belly. And then we need to be outdoors, and we need to play in the dirt when we are children. Have you heard of the hygiene hypothesis? It has shown already many decades ago that children who are raised on farms and are in touch with animals and have more siblings with runny noses, that they have healthier immune systems, less hay fever, less asthma, and less other conditions as they get older, compared to children who were raised in the city, where their mom, of course, with all the best intentions, was cleaning everything with antimicrobial wipes and antimicrobial soap. And it's great to be raised with animals. Children who were raised with pets have less asthma. And the more pets you have, the less diseases. Unfortunately, there are also a lot of things that can hurt our microbiome. Fast food, stress, but also antibiotics. Do you think that your doctor is a good doctor when he prescribes to you antibiotic each time you have a sore throat or earache or cough? Now, studies show that most people are actually more satisfied with those physicians. But it's not the best advice. Most of these conditions are viral, and antibiotics not only are not necessary, they can be actually harmful. Because each time you take an antibiotic, you're dropping a bomb on your microbiome. You are unfortunately killing some of these beneficial microbes as well. And it can take many months to recover. The damage is even worse in little children, in babies. And not to scare you, but we need this information. Antibiotic, of course, can save your life, so take it if you need it, but don't take it unnecessarily. Children who were given antibiotics are more at risk for inflammatory bowel disease, like Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis, which we see on the rise. They are at higher risk of eczema, juvenile arthritis, diabetes, obesity, asthma, and even colorectal adenoma, which is a kind of a polyp that can turn into colon cancer. Pesticides also hurt our microbiome. They kind of work like antibiotics on our gut bacteria. So you should be mindful of that and try to minimize exposure to them. I put here the 12 foods that are the most heavily sprayed with pesticides. They are called the Dirty Dozen. And you can also find them on Environmental Working Group website, ewg.org. It doesn't mean that you should not eat these foods. By all means, please eat them. They have a lot of nutrients for you that you need, but just make sure that you buy them organic. All right, what else do we need for a healthy immune system? When was the last time you got 8 hours of sleep? Because that's what I recommend. We should be getting 7 to 8 hours of good night's sleep every single night. People who are sleep deprived, even for one single night, to less than 5 hours, have less efficacy, 70% less efficacy of their natural killer cells. And natural killer cells are the immune cells that are supposed to kill viruses and kill cancer. If you don't sleep enough, you're sending your immune system down the drain. But when you sleep, you're doing a lot of other things that are good for you, like brain health, right? I had a patient years ago who asked me, because she wanted to be healthy, and she wanted to do everything to be healthy, and she was a very high executive, she had a family, so she was busy. And she asked me, should I sacrifice my sleep to exercise? Or should I sleep in longer, but then I will not have time to exercise? And I said, you shouldn't sacrifice neither sleep nor exercise. You should maybe work a little bit less. We work too much, and working longer hours doesn't even make us more efficient. But if you exercise and get your sleep, you may actually be more efficient at work. So please remember that. But when we sleep, we also produce a very important neurohormone called melatonin. Melatonin is crucial for our immune system, especially for our response to viruses. People with low melatonin have more severe COVID, and they are more likely to die from it. And we only make melatonin when it's dark at night. So we need darkness in our bedroom. And there are many scientists who are concerned that ever since we invented electricity and we spend time on our electronic devices, our melatonin levels have collectively become lower. We also need the yin and yang of nature, light during the day and blue sky and darkness at night for our immune system to work properly. We know that working night shifts has increased risk of breast cancer, prostate cancer, and colon cancer. In fact, night shifts are called a carcinogen by World Health Organization. And then you need vitamin D, as Dr. Schlick has mentioned. I call this the sunshine vitamin. And knowing your vitamin D level, in my opinion, is another vital sign. You don't want to have just okay vitamin D level. You want it to be optimal. And that is, in my book, at least 38 nanograms per ml. Because studies show that at that level, you are 50% less likely to get upper respiratory infection from a virus. But when you have good vitamin D level, you are also less likely to have cancer and less likely to have autoimmune disease. So how do you get vitamin D? From sunshine. You make it in your skin when you're exposed to sunshine, but it may take longer if you have a darker color skin. On a sunny day in the middle of the summer, we probably make 10,000–15,000 units of vitamin D within a 15-minute walk at noon. But if you put sunscreen on, that is very efficient in blocking vitamin D. So make sure you check your level. As Dr. Schlick said, you may need to take some supplements. And get outside and exercise. Exercise is so important for us. How many minutes of exercise you get every week? You should be getting 150 minutes of moderate exercise. 300 minutes would be even better. Children need 1 hour of vigorous exercise every single day. And 80% of Americans are not getting enough exercise to have health benefits. And meanwhile, we know that not exercising is as bad for you as smoking 1 pack of cigarettes per day. Sitting, indeed, is the new smoking. So get advantage of these beautiful bike trails that we have. Get out there with your family and friends. And while you exercise, you get some vitamin D as well. Does this look familiar to anybody? I was so happy that schools finally opened for in-person education. Stress, unfortunately, can really suppress our immune system, and it can make us even less likely to respond to a vaccine. So please have a daily routine that helps you deal with stress, whether it's going for a walk, listening to music, journaling, meditating. Just make sure that you have a daily routine for this. And social isolation can be quite harmful to us. We are social creatures. And Dr. Sabapathy and Rennie spoke about that. Social isolation is as detrimental to our immune system as obesity, as high blood pressure, not exercising, and smoking 1 pack of cigarettes per day. So please check on your older neighbors or people who you think might be alone. Send them a little flashlight message. Unfortunately, as much as healthy lifestyle is important for us and can lower risk of many diseases, it's not enough anymore. We are on a collision course to a new pandemic, unless we change the way we treat our environment. As our population grows, and with that demand for food, water, fuel, housing, we are not only polluting our planet more and more, we are unfortunately also pushing wildlife out of their habitat. And that creates pandemics. 3 out of 4 new emerging infections come from animals. These are some examples from the past years. So as we are destroying forests, we are changing the ecosystems, we are changing weather, we are changing how water accumulates, and that can contribute to more breeding of mosquitoes that transmit malaria, Zika, West Nile virus. As we are kind of encroaching into forests with our housing, we are more in touch with ticks, and they transmit more Lyme disease as they have less predators in those small forests. You know what else do these infections have in common? We don't have a vaccine for any single one of them. We might have a vaccine for SARS-CoV-2, hopefully, but we do not yet know how effective it will be. And as we are destroying forests and taking land from animals to grow food, we are at the same time wasting tremendous amount of food. Estimated 30% of food is either lost or wasted before it makes it from the field or farm into our stomach. That's not just a tremendous loss because it could have fed billions of people. It's also loss of resources like water, fuel, labor. But what happens to the waste? It's the #1 material in landfills. And it rots there, and it contributes to greenhouse production and global climate change. More pandemics in the future. Please do not buy more than you need. We also have contributed with climate change to a huge loss of biodiversity, of species, of plants that perhaps could be medicinal, or animals that maybe are predators to those that carry infections. And finally, I really have to speak a little bit about pollution. We put more than 80,000 chemicals into the environment, and we know very little about their effect on our immune system. We are polluting the air, water, soil, and it comes back at us like a boomerang. We know, for instance, that air pollution doesn't just increase your risk of asthma or respiratory diseases, it also increases the risk of heart disease, and even stroke, even obesity. And in terms of COVID, areas with higher particulate matter air pollution were suffering disproportionately higher risk of death from COVID because the pollution allows COVID to spread and inhale deep in your lungs. So we can't be healthy without a healthy planet. We cannot run away from it. We cannot hide our head anymore. Our health is dependent on planetary health. I love this quote from Cheat Seattle. Man did not weave the web of life. He is merely a strand in it. Whatever he does to the web, he does to himself. But there is hope. Miraculous things were happening during the quarantine, during global lockdown. When we stopped polluting the planet and gave it a little chance to recover, we could see Himalayan mountains from 100 miles away for the first time in decades. Dolphins returned to the canals in Venice. Turtles started laying eggs on the beaches that were previously too crowded. Can we achieve this harmony with nature without a global lockdown? Secretary General of the United Nations, Antonio Guterres, said, "The coming years will be a vital period to save the planet and to achieve a sustainable, inclusive human development." How can we support planetary health? Recycle, use sustainable energy, support restorative agriculture. There is a longer list that you can find in your resources. We don't have to use pesticides. Dandelions are okay. I love this quote from Peter Drucker. The best way of predicting our future is creating it. So let's create a better world together, where making healthy lifestyle choices is easy, affordable, accessible to everybody. You know, I spent first 18 years of my life living in a communist country, Czechoslovakia, and I saw a lot of injustice. I felt that I would never be able to live the life that I wanted to live. A lot of people were not able to express themselves fully, and it seemed that it would be impossible to change. But when I was 18, it did change. Enough people went to the streets every day demanding change. And so more and more people joined every single day during the Velvet Revolution until the communist government stepped down and democracy was restored. Now I am half around the world here in the United States, and I see injustice again. We have huge disparities in our social and racial societies, and we need to change that. I also see injustice on nature, which will affect future generations even more than ours. You know that our children are supposedly not going to live as long as we may because of the pollution we created. We have to change that. We need another health revolution. And we can fight it with forks and wallets and with everyday mindful choices. But I can't do it alone. I need all of you to join me in this, please. We can do it together. We don't have to engage in grand, heroic actions to participate in change. Small acts, when multiplied by millions of people, can transform the world, as Howard Zinn said. Let's do this together.